So as you can see, we now have what I call a fully loaded mat. The stringers are going from one side to the other for 42 different rows. So what I want to show you now is how to start the mat. This is an extremely important part. The first mat that I made by weaving, I didn't do this part, and I realized when I was going to take the mat off of the frame that the whole mat would fall apart. So this part you must do. So I will take one of my ropes. Okay, I usually go 1, 2. I take 2 lines of plastic and I just basically tie a knot onto the strand. Okay, and I push it down. This little part that's hanging out, I'm going to call this the tail. I'm just going to tuck this underneath so it doesn't bother me. Okay. Now I call this threading the needle. If you think of each one of these loops as an eye of a needle, all right, you must run your first stringer through each loop or eye. So it has to go into the eye. Open it up, go in. Open it up, go in. This is the most time-consuming part, I think. Open it up, go in, and then pull. This is what we call a lock stitch, because what it does is it locks all the plastic into the loops. So just push them down. Again, open the eye of the needle and put it in. Thread it, just like you were threading a large needle. Okay? So I have to do this all the way down. Now I'm going to go on to the other side, because the beauty of making these mats with children in schools or with a church group is you can have 4 people, even as many as 8, working on this mat, and it can be done in about an hour and a half if you have 8 people. If you have 4 people, I'm going to say it takes about 4 hours for this mat to be completed. But the same thing, when I go on to the other side, I have to take one of my yarn pieces, tie it on, push it down, tuck the tail underneath so it doesn't bother you. That's for later. Take this, find the eye of your loop, thread it. Eye of the loop, thread it. And this has to happen. You must do this all the way down, the whole 42 nails. So our frame has been set up. On our last section, or the last frame that we did, I told you about threading the needle. Remember to do that part. Then what I did was I just added more plastic. I'm going to show you how to do that. And you start weaving, which means instead of going through the eye of the needle now, you go in and out, but around the plastic. So how do I add a new piece? Okay, so here's a stringer that somebody has made for me. Okay, remember the T? So here's your last loop on your frame. Okay, you put your first loop of your new piece in. Obviously you see a T. Okay, I just put my hand in there, I grab this piece and pull it through. And then I pull. Okay, so I have my piece here, which is not too long. That's why I said when you make the strips, don't make 50 together, make 10, 7, 10, something like that, and it's long enough. So what I like to do is, you can weave through every stringer, but it's nice to have a cushy mat so that it's softer to sleep on. So what I do is I weave through 2 stringers. So here I am, I was down there, so now I'm going to go on top, and I go through there. Then I go through there, and I pull them through. okay, and push them down so that you don't have many holes. Then I turn this around, and this is why it would be nice if you have 2 children or 2 people on each end of the mat frame, because if this frame was actually sitting on a table and I'm actually squatting on the floor, let's say I was here. So this is my end. So I'm going to go, I was under here, so now I'm going to go over. So I'm going to go down, up, down, up, down, up, pull it through, push it down. Okay, and I'm going to continue down, up, but if I'm at a table, I've extended my arms as far as they'll go. If you had someone on this side, they could take this piece, weave it through on the other side, turn it around, come back to about here, then I take it from them, finish the row and turn it around. But I want to show you a few tricks that I've learned by weaving. First of all, I take a stick. This is just a mop handle. Okay, you can use a hockey stick, anything you like. And I actually weave this through my stringers. So I go up, down, oops. This is just something to make it a little easier. Oops. Okay. So what it does is it lifts half the loops. And if you are weaving, one row you actually have to weave, but the other row, because the loops are lifted, you just thread them through. See this? How easy that is? Oops, let's look at this. And then you pull it through and push them down. Then we take the end and I was on top here, so now I'm going to go under, over, under, over. Now, we have noticed, I'm going to show you a mat later that looks like an hourglass, because when people are doing their weaving, they pull this so tight that what starts to do is to pull your mat together. And if we don't want it to be pulled together, one way is, first of all, not to pull your strings too tight, but the other way is to actually weave a little bit or a little distance from where you've pushed them together, and there's enough slack in there, in that distance, that when you finish the row, and pull them down, see how I made sort of like an arch? And when you pull that down, there's enough slack in there that you won't pull your edges. So again, all I do is I was down under my last one, so now I'm going to bring it over the top, and because of my stick, this row, I just thread it underneath the stringers that are up. Now, I've run out again. I'm just going to show you one more time how to tie them on. This is my last loop. This is my first loop of a new strand. Put that in there, make the T, grab that, pull it through. So this means that your weaving is actually one continuous strand of plastic. I just wanted to show you this one last mat. This was one of the originals that was made here at the school by some students. There's nothing wrong with this mat. If you have nothing to sleep on, this is awesome. But remember when I said that if you pull too tightly, it'll look like an hourglass? Well, this is an example of what that looks like. And if you wanted to have a mother and a child or two children sleep on this, you've actually lost probably more than a foot of width because of the pulling of the plastic when they wove it just a bit too tight. So I'm just showing this as a sample, that's all. So I want to show you how to tie these off. So let's just take one of them. So you know how we have this length here that goes from one nail to another? So just separate the plastic. All I want you to do is basically a series of knots. So you're going to take this end and you're going to stick it in, okay, and you're going to pull it through like this, and you're going to pull it. Then you're going to go down to the next row. See the length here? Okay, you're going to stick it in, okay, take the end, pull it through, which is basically making a knot. Okay, so this is the other end that was from weaving this side of the mat. Okay, so again, I'm just going to separate the weave, find the long piece that went from nail to nail, put it in, okay, take this little piece on the end, stick it in the hole, and pull. Separate, stick it in, catch it, pull it through and knot it. And again, do it until you have run out of plastic. Okay, I'm almost done. I have a little piece left over, not long enough to tie around, so I'm just going to tuck it in the weaving so that it's lost and you don't see it. Okay, so now look, mat's finished. Okay, remember when I first started this end and I had to thread the needle and I said there was a little tail? Okay, here's the tail. This is when we're going to need it. So what you do is you say the end that the tail is on, leave it. Go to the other side. Okay? Now all I'm going to do is lift these things off of the nails all the way along. Okay, so I'm pulling these off of the nails. If I hadn't have threaded the needle at the very beginning, remember when I stuck the piece of plastic through the loops? At this point, the whole mat could fall apart. So that's why I'm telling you to thread the loops or thread the needle, because at this point, it's really important. Okay, so it's off. It's off this end. You could leave the mat like this if you like, and you could take this tail part and you could tie it in just like I did there in the center. But if you want to make it have a nice edge, so it looks nice, this is how I do it. Right. These are my lengths that were tied on the nails. 1, 2. Here's another 1, 2. So let's call these first two 1. Let's call the second two 2. You take 2, you put it into 1, and you grab it. This is now 1. Go along, take the next 2, call it 2. Take the 2, put it into the 1. This becomes 1. Take the 2, put it into the 1. This becomes the 1. Go to the next 2. And I do this all along, and in a minute, when I get this row done, I want to show you the nice edge that it makes. Right to the very end, the last 2 goes into that one. I'm going to hang on to it for a second. Look at this nice edge. It looks like a braid. See how nice it looks? It makes a nice finished edge on the mat. So here's that last loop. Now I take the tail. I stick it into the last loop. Okay? So that it doesn't fall apart. Then, like I did over here in the center, I separate it, stick it in and knot it until it's used up and you do not have a loose edge. Okay, so I've got a little bit left over. I'm just going to tuck it in so nobody trips on it by getting their foot stuck in it. And this end of the mat is now complete. So now I'm going to do the other side just so you see it again, because repetition makes it so you understand better. Okay, Rico, because I'm the only one here in the room doing this, I had to come around to the other side of the frame to take the loops off to release this mat. But if you had a couple of women working on this, one could be finishing the edge on that side and another one could be finishing the edge on this side, and the mat would be done more quickly. But I'm the only one, so I had to do this all myself. So remember the tail? Here's the tail. So we go to the other side and we start taking the loops off of the nails, just like I did that side. And it's easier to take these ones off because it's already loosened from that side. Okay, so I'm going to remove the frame now. So again, I could leave this if I wanted to, but I like to have that nice edge. So I'm going to start over here. Here's the tail. Start over here. I'm going to take 2 loops. I'm going to take the next 2 loops. Okay, I'm going to call the first 2 loops 1, call the second 2 loops 2, put the 2s into the 1 and grab it. This becomes 1. Take the next 2. This is 1, this is 2. Put the 2s into the 1. And it looks like a smooth braid. See? See how nice this looks? So I'm going to finish this. I'm almost at the end. Here's my last 2. Put these 2 into the 1. Okay, so I have this left. Can't just let it go because it will make the mat unravel. Take the tail, put the tail into the last of the loops, okay? And then again, separate this, stick it in, and knot it. Pull. Separate. Stick it in. Sorry, that looks messy. And then knot it. Separate. Stick it in. Knot it until I've run out of plastic. I don't have much left. Again, just open up your weaving, stick the plastic in until you use it up so there's nothing hanging. Okay, and now your mat is done. Now as you can see, this mat is small. This is the one from my mom's frame. I would put a baby on here. Okay, I wouldn't sell it for as much as you sell the ones that are adult size. As I told you in the other little video, my adult size one, this one is 4 loops long. My adult size frame is 7 loops long. So it makes for a mat big enough for a tall man, okay, or a couple of children. So this is your completed mat with the nice edging, okay, and now your mat's ready to sell to the people that you want to sell them to in Haiti. All right, hope this helps you. Okay, so like I said, here's your finished mat, but here's your empty frame. So while people are actually finishing the edging on this mat, somebody else can be tying loops to go from nail to nail and load the frame up again to start another mat. So that way you can keep the process going, and everybody's busy and the mat making goes along quite quickly. Okay, so that's what you can do. So here we are now. We have 2 completed mats on the floor. One of them is actually the woven one, and as you can see, it fits this guy. He's what? 6'1". So it's a good size. This mat over here is a crocheted mat, and I know it's not quite as long as this one, but if it was, this mat being crocheted would take 40 hours to make, from crumpled bag to mat. This mat here, from crumpled bag to mat, is about 6 hours maximum. Okay, he has his pillow. It's comfortable. I actually slept on milk bag mats for 7 nights in a row in Haiti, and my whole family did, and we enjoyed them very much. They were comfortable. And why do we use milk bags and not bread bags? Because they're UV resistant, they're really strong, and they're durable. These mats will last for absolutely many, many years, maybe 15 to 20 years. So if I have shown you how to create a mat for the many, many people who need them, I hope that you can follow these instructions. So your mat is now complete. Now we need to get this to the depot where we send our mats with food supplies that go to impoverished people. The beautiful thing about these mats is they double as bubble wrap, okay, when we send it in the cargo containers. And bubble wrap actually costs money because it's packaging material. Our mats are now packaging material, so they go for free to the countries where we send the mats. And when they get to someone's place, they end up being their bed. So this is an awesome thing. But I want to show you how the depot wants to receive them. You put your pillow on your mat. We roll them like a bed roll. Okay. Now some people have actually put elastics on these mats, and the depot tells us not to do that because some countries where these mats go, it is so hot, the elastic bands melt right into the plastic and then they break. So we actually take one of our yarn strings, I usually double them, just put it on my rolled mat, tie it like that, nothing fancy, clip the ends, and this actually could go in another pillow, and do the other side. Now you can bring these mats to me at my house, and if you email me on Milk Bags Unlimited, we will make arrangements to get these, and then I will make arrangements to get them to the depot, and I think you've done an awesome thing. Thank you so much. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed seeing how to make a mat. You can see us on Facebook under Milk Bags Unlimited. If you'd like to push like, we would like to see your support. Thank you very much for all your help.